Yes, yes, yes. All right, greetings, 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 all. You are now tuned into Context Matters, and the date is the 20th of June, June 20th. We're going to be talking about publicity, and we're going to be talking about it in the context of trial publicity. We're going to be talking about, whether it is a real crisis or we should just chalk it up to what we call, everyday drama. Nothing serious. Don't take nothing serious. It is what it is. We just have to deal with it as it comes. That's the context in which we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about it. I just want to say there's some people who've been here. Diamond, big up yourself. Fatima, BCA Smith. You're always early, avid supporter. Remember, if you're new here, apparently I'm supposed to say you're supposed to like, subscribe, and spread the word that context matters. If you join in from TikTok, I want to say big up yourself. Um, this is a Reggae Global broadcast. It's broadcast live on Reggae Global TV and rebroadcast on the Coda Network on Fridays. So greetings to everybody who's tuning on Reggae Global Radio as well. Yeah, that's that's a big thing. It's a big deal. Just want to make that clear in terms of what we're doing and where we're going with it. Now, equally, the topic is a current affairs topic, and what one may wonder, why is it that I chose to do this topic? But I hear something I can tell you: it's absolutely necessary, and for those reasons, we're just gonna go through the material. But there is a particular thing when they speak about whether you must have heard this term before, wondering, what people would have said, what come first, the chicken or the egg? That's one thing that's unresolved. But I did learn this week that Humpty Dumpty is actually not an egg. So what I do is move away from that, and the true question to say is, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? My take on it is, I think it's both. If it wasn't, then government wouldn't be complaining about how dancehall is mashing up certainly the Jamaican society, but carnival isn't, because carnival is just once a year where you get to be completely unhinged and immoral, and that's acceptable. But dancehall somehow is a problem. So the true question is, does life imitate art or does art imitate life? And that's where I want to start the conversation, to get into the whole thing about publicity. So let me know your thoughts as we go through, and I guess I'll open the lines in the next hour. So if you have your thoughts and your ideas, and you don't just want to text it or share it that way, then we can take the approach from the phone calls when you're calling. So let me just start up the show and get it going. As you know, we do what we do, right? Yeah.
That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
Yeah. So, right. So let me start off with what I was saying about the life imitating art or art imitating life. I have it here somewhere, and I think I want to start with that. So there is, it's called, does life imitate art or is art imitating life? So Plato, one of my favorite philosophers, he naturally in the Republic, which is I would have had discussions about the Republic, Plato's Republic. He recounts a dialogue between Socrates and Glaucon about whether or not art should be banned. So we have this thing in society where everything, all plastic we ban, um, all ride sharing apps we ban, even when government have nothing in place to ban them. Everything that they don't like, they just the thing is to cancel and ban. That's a culture. So since they said since art is mere imitation of things that takes place further and further away from truth, so they conclude that art is an unreliable source. And I was reminded of this argument when I first encountered Tanya Franco Klein's 2016 contained self-portrait. So this photo is found in her book Positive Disintegration. The picture of an unoccupied hotel room features a small television as it is the center of attention, right? The same room from the same angle is reproduced on the black and white TV screen, this time inhabited by a woman who, remembering the parenthetical in the title, we assume is the photographer. I don't know if that was descriptive enough for you, because if it wasn't, then maybe I need to show the picture. So somebody need to let me know if they want to see the picture to have an idea of what Tanya Franco was trying to project. Anyway, the photograph goes on forever, since inside the first television there's a second one, but the image on that screen isn't easily perceived, and thus creating a sense of infinity and suspense. I don't see anybody saying they want to see it. All right, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Yeah, greetings, everybody. So Franco Klein's positive disintegration project explores emotions, mostly negative ones, that surface as a consequence of the generational drive for success and happiness. It represents the pressure of achieving and portraying a perfect lifestyle in spite of what is lost or neglected in trying to do so. Well, Plato would say that the form of the woman, the television, and the bed would be closest to the truth, but we cannot access them through our senses. So, if we follow his theory, the forms are divine and eternal. They are an unchanging reality that exists outside our material world. Everything we might access through our senses derives its identity from the forms, so it's all an imitation of the truth, never the forms themselves. So actual things, as in beings, are categorized by Plato as perceptual objects, since we recognize them through our senses. Those objects, therefore, are imitations of true forms. And if you followed um context matters, you should be able to go back and look at the Aristotle's metaphysics, Plato's Republic, and you get a sense of what is happening there. Now, just for those who are not perceptives, or who don't have the imagination, this is the photo that I'm making reference to. um you can have a look at it. I described it earlier, but you can see that you see the room, the lady is not there, but when you look into the TV, that's what it is. Well, I'm using that to describe what publicity can do, how you access information, whether or not the information is accurate, and how you form your views, your thoughts, your ideas, and notwithstanding what the factual situations are. People run with all kind of nonsense as it festers, or it increases their appetite for their dilapidated conditions that they're possibly living in. The reality of it is people like to feel good about themselves. Tan wants to ask a question. She has to type it so I can answer it. But the reality of it is misery loves company. So we find spaces where it helps us to feel better about ourselves. And I'm putting things in context now. Um, And for those reasons, we go into spaces to get the information that's palatable to us. And sometimes that information is not true. But anyway, this is a depiction of how art imitates life. But notice in life, the woman is not on the bed, but in the art, there she is. She puts herself in her brassiere and she's sitting down. Wallowing in and festering in the pity that she's experiencing, and then the TV is on. If you were to zoom in, you'd see her again in the TV, and God he knows what's on the TV. But as the Chinese telephone go on, different information is given, and the accuracy of what happens kind of disappears as time goes by. So the true answer, or what it is that we try to get a full idea of, is to answer the question: does art imitate life? Does life imitate art? My answer, right, my simple answer to that is yes. And it's a matter for you to kind of come to some understanding, or come to a conclusion as to which is better, which is which, what is true. Because sometimes if we don't know that art is imitating life, somebody said I don't see the picture, and I'm gonna do my best to see how best for TikTok. Even though I should say you should probably go over to YouTube so you can see the picture, but I'm just gonna help you for now. That's the photo. So notice she's not in the photo, but as you look further, she appears in television. And so that's the thing about fiction, and that's the thing about evidence, is that the things that can be manipulated, things that can be placed on the internet, and the narrative behind it can change the trajectory, or can change and change ton that's totally outside of what I'm talking about now. So I will inbox me and I will answer that another time. Yeah, and change the trajectory, or change the narrative of the realities as people process it, or as people process the information. So you guys all know about the fictional character. If you don't, then you're really back at time, and you probably want to get up to speed. But Lady Whistledown writes a society paper, and it is extraordinary people with extraordinary news. So this is a fictional character who is the anonymous pseudo identity of Penelope, who became Penelope Bridgerton, um, for in the final season so far, or season 3 of the Bridgerton. Why is this important? Well, I did learn that probably a better example to use would have been Gossip Girl. But you see, sus mix up drama is what is found on the internet. The internet has to be a space where you obviously don't expect to get, and let me not say where you don't expect, you might not get accurate information. You might not get information that they always say you must fact check when you get stuff. But the most important thing is that with the Lady Whistledown, I guess she's in the spaces. She walks around. She's in everybody's house. She knows the helpers. She knows the society people. She knows the families, and she get bits of information here and there, and then she puts it in her gossip column, and then people know it. People hear about it, and it's almost like, if you live in the ton, yeah, in this nice high society place where it's time for young virgins to get married, and they get dowries, and the family do this, and they get the lords, and sophistication and nobility, and the ladies and the lords and the kings and the queens decide who should get married, and the plebs remain the plebs, and the mix up people remain the mix up people. And if you are part of society, They choose who is the young lady for the season with the golden vagina who is to be married and carried away and have children. And yes, you see, Megawatt said the socialites and the Bridgerton nice because it always seems that these young girls, they don't like money. They go for the man that can properly service them, and they go for the man that can have multiple, so they can have 10 babies, so they're not lost in the realities of the Jamaican society where reproduction is poor, and so they have to now raise the age limit so old people can continue work, so them can drop dead on the work because them now nothing else to do, that kind of thing. So Bridgeton and Lady Whistledown obviously talks the information. The thing about it is, if you know anything about the show, Lady Whistledown, nobody never did like her. She never think she could have did fine a man because she was a little fat girl who nobody would look on. But as time goes by, every mock of them stick a bush, and all of a sudden everybody want this girl, and she end up get married, and then you know it come out say she. Here's the thing about it. Before she became somebody who could actually get married, she was very miserable, and so she used to talk everybody business because nobody saw her and she wanted attention. So she created this anonymous space where she would talk up the things and talk people business, and people would be like, oh wow, and all of this, and them all excited about it. The funny thing about it is the information and the gossip and the influence that comes with it is from a publication is and the publicity behind it, and how it shapes the society is what the conversation is about. So although Lady Whistledown is a fictional character, one then has to ask themselves, but what about in reality? Somebody say it sound like meow, meow, meow. But I tell you, when I have no chill, but this is the time of year where it won't get me in problems. Anyway, so one wonders, somebody said, why does class exist? So that the lower class can know where they fit and the upper class cannot mingle with the lower class. That's why class exists. It has to exist. But anyway, so when you think about that, we then find ourselves, how does that project into society? Well, you have a lot of people who have nothing to do with life. They find themselves as castaways in society because one, they probably didn't get the education, which education is something that you need. It's almost like silver and gold will vanish away, but a good education will never decay. And so they lack the education, they lack the ability to function in the real world. Or they just have a little scammer gene inside of them and them don't like work. And so just because of that, they just say, you know what, let me become an influencer. Let me just be a Kim Kardashian. And let me just be on the land and just make money. And there is nothing wrong with that because there are tons of white young women and boys and girls who find the internet and do the TikTok and they go viral through cultural appropriation. I mean, if you one looks at a particular famous person, from the lips to the derriere is all plastic. But when you see the black women with the lips and the derriere, you tell them ugly and you tell them this, but then the white ones do it and then all of a sudden they look good. And they go as far as taking the black men and have babies with them. So that's how the life is. So as long as you're able to monetize, that is what is important. So, persons who are able to monetize. That's why I love YouTube because listen, and let me make this very clear. It's only one YouTuber that could be the topic of this discussion. The rest of them completely, and hear me, they're completely useless, irrelevant, and is a waste of the megabytes that they use to make the videos. They're not content creators, them just little bit and enough. Yeah. However, so nobody's worried about their influence and nobody's worried about the train that they're on. What we're talking about is publicity. What we're talking about is trial publicity. What we're talking about is the importance of the Constitution. And then what we're talking about is how the little bit enough society. So they're not society bloggers. They're not society papers. They don't contribute to the advancement of even gossip and sus. So we're not talking about them. So if you're a little YouTuber who learn how to cut and paste, and you probably need to get your views up so you can make a money because you can't even look at work in society. We know you, we know you. We hear how you pronounce words when you're on your YouTube, and your little followers who speak like you, they also appreciate you because they said there's somebody out here dunce like me. Yeah, we're not talking about you. So don't nuff up yourself and don't try put yourself into this topic and this conversation, because you'll never get the recognition of the lady whistledown of Jamaica, Miss P herself, Sir P, the anonymous person. So don't badmine him. So let's make it clear. He is a significant cultural icon in Jamaican society. Don't care if he doesn't like me, I rate him. Because without people like him, I'm telling you, Jamaica can't nice. So Miss P is the lady whistledown. And since nobody knows him, I promise you this, Sir P has a vagina. I promise you that. And yeah, only can cut this up and get it back to him. But I'm saying what I say, and guess what? So the other people that little bit enough, mind your business. This is not this show is not for you. All right? No. That that now is how we talk about trial publicity. And remember, context matters. So although context is king, unless you know that it matters, you will not find the space necessary to interpret the necessary the necessary information that we're trying to disseminate. So if it is that persons are trying to make money, then you have to produce the content, not the context, the content that will feed the appetite of persons who are miscreants, and persons who are idle, and persons who need to feel better about themselves to fuel the hate and the bad mind that festers in some of them. I just want you to appreciate this. And I'm using my platform so people can understand that progress, um, positivity, and the best of energy that connects you with God is not found in mix up and gossip. They have a whole, they have channel and spaces for that. The thing about it is when it leaks out into society, and when you put yourself in a position to influence people, the influence must be positive. I don't make these things up. The inspector, who I won't even call his name, who somebody erroneously tried to say is the anonymous blogger, was the JCF was at pains to say, listen, our guy is not this guy. Be careful, because we know he's a danger to society and we don't want our guy to get hurt. So it shows how the importance of art, the importance of entertainment has gone into the realm of reality, where persons are now experiencing how serious a situation can be. Now, what are you saying? Man can't chat and in a sus. That's not how sus spell, but of course, men can chat, and of course, men can be in sus. The freedom of expression is important, and if you want to be a mama man, you have the right to be a mama man. Nobody's stopping a man from being a mama man. There's spaces so that you can go on TikTok, you can go anywhere, you can be anything that you want to be. I'm differentiating between substance and differentiating between the lady whistle down syndrome that so many people have. Um, that is something that people have to understand, and we can talk. I mean, it's a conversation, you know. People are free to disagree. I am just showing something, because one thing I can tell you, as take it from a lawyer who went to law school, graduated with first class honors, and no work for nobody, actually doing the law. Why am I saying all of this? So when I speak about law, it's because I have the education to back it. So when somebody say I chat too much, but then you're somebody who barely can read and write, but you are suddenly doing social commentary as if you are Deion Jackson Miller, it is completely laughable. And when you mislead people who are also in the same category with you, but want to learn, you're doing a great disservice to your country. And this is the conversation that we're having, because sometimes when it is that people have influence, when you are given a platform and you have the influence, nobody expects you to then bring society into disrepute. I'm even going to talk about how people are about bring this profession, but your society, you turn your society upside down, and you tamper with the arms of justice, because you then inject poison and contribute to the decadence, the decay of society because of your nonsense. I'm saying it as it is, you know. So you're free to say I chat too much, and you're free to defame, you're to defame somebody's character. You're free to put all wrong information. It's just that, you know, the sad thing about it is it's a waste of judicial time to attempt to sue a girl of straw. Mind you, I've already posited that I'm almost convinced that Lady Whistledown and the anonymous bloggers, they all have vaginas. And until you show yourself, you're just a vagina carrying anonymous person. Anyway, so of importance is to look at that and say, what damage am I doing to my society? Because publicity, trial publicity, especially when you're doing social commentary on matters that are before the court, that deals with constitutional rights, that affect the presumption of innocence, and because your inability to navigate that has caused persons and their family hardship, pain, suffering, and then people can't sue you because you don't have no money, and you're not a socialite, you're not connected to people with money, so nobody needs to bring you down. But in terms of what you do to the rest of society who is trying to be better, is to cause anarchy, cause chaos. All of these things are true. So what is the crisis behind this? Well, um, people believe that the fair trial right, which is called due process, deals with three arms. It is a fair hearing within a reasonable time by an independent and impartial jury. So then, which aspect of it could anonymous blogger or and remember, you know, it's not just anyone, because we know some of you are vlogging and blogging, but your existence is insignificant. So we could never be talking about you. So don't be little bit enough. Like, we're being for real now. But when you have made a name for yourself, when you have become an icon in the social society, that nobody can deny you. So it may, oh, no, no, no. no, I'm gonna just ignore some of those comments. The people who are fail musicians that find themselves being mumalashi on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and trying, finding themselves to be significant. We're not talking about them. You can talk to your government and get your national award so you can feel like you're somebody. You'll still be a nobody. We're not talking about those. We're talking about people who actually is important and people who Jamaica needs. And I've said this, I've been on another platform and I said, Jamaica needs Sir P. I'm never going to take that back. I give people the credit they deserve when they make a name for themselves, and people have to run behind them because they add value. So this is not, we don't be inserting people who are insignificant. We're not talking about them. We leave Pastor Jennings or same name for the insignificant people. It's simple. But anyway, we have to now think about how it affects people and rights, because the Constitution is the done of all dons. Um the Constitution is the bedrock of the society. And I'm talking about the Jamaican Constitution, the written Constitution, specifically the Charter of Rights. The irony is how powerful the Constitution is and why there is a push to change it with the hope of minimizing possibly the rights, because it makes a class system not functioning, because the least among us deserves the rights and it applies to them as well. That's just the reality. But when we balance publicity, let me just make something clear. I don't want nobody to think that publicity is a bad thing. In fact, for me, all publicity is good publicity. Certainly for on behalf of myself and those who I know. If you're talking about me, whether good or bad, the fact that you have to talk about me, people don't stone green mango. So you make the best of it. If you have to talk about me, you're doing the work that you were sent here on earth to do, to make sure that I remain significant. That's how publicity work. So this is not a conversation that publicity is bad. Even trial publicity isn't bad, because the public has a right to know. The open justice concept is a beautiful concept. In fact, I love open justice so much that the opportunity to present before the highest court of not in the land but of the land, apex court, the privy council, and it was televised for the world to see. So you didn't need an anonymous blogger or a insignificant blogger or those or vloggers or those YouTubers who can barely speak English language to tell you what take place, or try to reread a Gleaner article from a reporter who possibly don't know the intricacies of the law and is trying to bring it to you, and then you get your information at some third, fourth rate quality that you don't have. Sometimes it's good to see it. So the open justice concept, if I had my way, every courtroom would have cameras in there, and you would see what happens. So families who hire lawyers who can't go to court could just click and the court would be going live, and you would see what's happening with your loved ones and the lawyers that you pick, how they conduct themselves, and you make a decision, or you know whether you spent your money or whether you did beg or whatever for this person, however it works. So open justice is necessary. If you don't believe me, certainly our court of appeal has they had a media room for a particular case. in the past, our Chief Justice, Justice Sykes, would have made sure he stream his decisions. Recently, in a very, very popular case, the full court, they streamlined the decision when they made determinations of the Constitution, and a popular Jamaican person was ousted out of office and supposedly is appealing, those kind of things. And so people knew and heard the in real time what was happening. But even so, open justice is so important that the many cases, if you were around in the 90s, OJ Simpson, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit, and all of the theatrics when Johnny Cochran, tell him try on the gloves and the gloves never fit, but them even after that, them still say OJ Simpson was guilty, and then he had whatever. But Bill Cosby, the weirdest one of all was Johnny Depp and his woman, and it turned out that however it was, she was beating him, but he's a Pirates of the Caribbean, so him juke her with him sword, and then it turned out them was just there was just some white people that was just beating up on each other, and then that was it. But the idea of the open justice is that people want to know, and if it's exciting, and if it come with a lot of passa and drama, and you get you get your dose of whatever comes with those things, then that's exactly how people expect the open justice to be. There are many other cases that I could tell you about. There's one in South Africa. It was actually raised, the Oscar Pistorius, which is the athletic man with the fake foot. I would not call him a handicap or a special needs person, because he was an Olympic star and he was anything but a disabled person. Ironically, it was raised in a particular case. I don't know why, because he was tried by judge alone. When one checks it, he was eventually found guilty of manslaughter, and then the prosecutor appealed it, and then the court of appeal was like, no, you murdered the woman. And even if you never want to murder the woman, you did want to murder somebody, and it was a high-powered rifle. And we don't care if you have any disabilities, but it was murder, and they gave him 15 years or something like that. But anyway, publicity. If you don't know that case, it was there. There was a case also with the Alawalia. It was a huge case. This woman had battered woman syndrome. We know that women can't be provoked because them gala wicked, them wicked, them wicked. The women are so calculating that they'll cook your dinner, poison you, and then burn you up in the bed just for cheating on them. But they're not just fight you, so they don't not provoked. So you'll beat them for 14 years and they stay, but then you cheat on them was like, no, you beat me, but cheat on me? No, that's a no-no. And then they get back at you at the end of it. But put it in context. Women are more calculating, and that was a huge case. If you want to know crazy, try the Menendez brothers. These are privileged kids who tried to raise the defense of affluenza, and the Menendez brothers killed their parents. And if you think that was nothing, even after them get found guilty, you had some women that wanted to get married to them, and they did that. I think they got married, and them love life better than anyway. Leaving that alone, these are popular cases. If you remember who George Zimmerman, is it Zimmerman? He killed the Trayvon Martin, popular. Then there's the girl who killed our daughter, but she gets away with it because she had a good lawyer. However, whatever you want to say, but these cases were televised and jurors were found and all of that. So we're not even going to talk about Jeffrey Dahmer. We're not going to talk about the serial killers, because these publicity, and we know how these things are. But pre-trial publicity is on the basis that, guess what? Information is reported live. We get the facts and we know it. Even in Jamaican space, right now, you have a case with the man that shoot him wife, or allegedly shoot him wife in the vagina. We have a case where a baby mother, they with a politician and hear say him have another baby mother and choose she want fear or whatever, and then she them say she kill and all of that. But I don't want to sound like an anonymous blogger because my face can't hide and my forehead big and my headline receding and my chat too much. So we're not gonna get into all of that. Savan says that however you get the information, it may not be as accurate and it may not be in accord with the evidence before the court, because you have another case where they must have said the man kill the girl and the girl pretty, but then him put it in a one couch and then the couch gone somewhere but no blood no in the couch and this and that, and now we hear it and then we hear says something in our X6 and then kill the person and me never know say X. That's why you don't buy BMW, buy Benz, because Benz don't kill people, X6 do. Anyway, I don't know, but the point I'm making, but you hear them affluent conversations. It's only socialites can talk like that, you know. But anyway, all of these things are in the public space, and however it turns out, is there are safeguards within the judicial system to ensure that the publicity, whether it be pre-trial, whether it be post-trial, that that it doesn't bother it doesn't affect the outcome of the trial. Somebody said my aunt says chat can never too much, just like food, especially if it's KFC. I like your aunt. Tell her send me a 6 piece. Look like Loxley says my BMW doesn't kill people, not the BMW, maybe you. But anyway, let me stop. So what I'm getting at is to say, when it comes to trial, pre-trial, trial publicity, where does the line in the sand? Where does Humpty Dumpty fall off the wall? Where do we pull the caution tape? Where do we say that this publicity now affects? Because in England, there is a famous case called F&D. Here's why I'm telling you about this case. Two young girls, 13 and 14, they go into a lady's flat. I'm not gonna say her name. I don't wanna traumatize, because there are people in the world who are easily traumatized when you remind them of stuff. And they went into her flat and they drink with her and then they murder her, they bludgeon her to death and they kill her. And then the publicity was overwhelming, and these were two young white girls who never, white people don't commit murder, especially girls, especially white women. And so little white girls who are supposed to be playing with Barbies and Kens and things like that, and having dreams of one day becoming a fashion model and suffer from anorexia, and they wouldn't be killing people. And then what happens? They kill this woman. The woman, they whatever the situation with, and they stop the trial in England because the publicity was out of hand, and the judge and everybody decided that they could not have gotten a fair trial. The media was pissed, and BBC says that is outrageous. We want to report it, and we're suing. And they went and they said they sued, and there was a lawsuit that they should be allowed to report, because this thing that happens in London, in England, should never happen. How could two white girls do this? We should report their names. And then the judge was like, no, not happening. And so they lost and they couldn't report their names. And the girls got an injunction and their names were not reported. And about 2 years passed and they have the trial. They were found guilty. And then BBC was like, yeah, as soon as they turn 18, we're going to report their name. And then they got an injunction, and they have a lifetime injunction, and their names are never going to be reported. You'll never know who those two white girls were who killed the woman. You'll never know, because the law have safeguards to protect the identity of people, and there's a reason for that. People have families, people have a life to live beyond facing whatever it is they have to face with the law. I think a lot of time people don't appreciate that. But you see, one thing, that's why me will always respect white people, even if them not love me. Because you see, when it comes to their own, they protect them. and they ensure that they value life. So the one life that they have, they maximize it. And coming like when you name orange and the orange nice and you kidney over and you eat the pulp and you name the skin and you don't even know what else to do with it. You done it. Yeah. That's how white people treat their race and their own. Different rules for them than how black people behave. And they protect those women, and they're out of jail and they've gone on with their lives, and they might be working at a Starbucks near you and you don't know. They're like they're anonymous. They're like Sir P. They don't know. You don't know who they are, and them gone on with them life. After they murder people, nobody don't know who them is. So there are safeguards in the law that protects identity, protects the fairness of the trial. And note, I'm telling you about F&D, that the fairness of the trial they were found guilty. So justice was served. So when we speak about the interest of justice, we're talking about the fairness, the integrity of the process. Because the Constitution allows you to be cloaked in the presumption of innocence. I can tell you tons of cases, and we don't have to talk about Jamaica, In the United States, they send young men to prison, and after 40 years they say, oh wow, the DNA now says you didn't do it. Well, I don't know, but we're so sorry, and $1 million is too much to give you, even though you lose your entire life. And people, those people who were running with the pitchforks and the pickaxe and everything, a lot of them dead and gone in all them wickedness and them high moral turpitude that was laced at the time with racism. Yes, and you remember the Central Park Five is a lot of them, but I'm not here to rehash all of that, but to say that the justice system, for it to maintain its integrity, the rules that protect fairness to the accused, in which is the cloak of the presumption of innocence, if that is taken away because you have people who decide that they don't even have the qualifications to be judges, they don't even have the qualification to work at a KFC, but them have data, them have phone, and they might try to make a little money off of YouTube. So they do what they do. And then there are like-minded people like them that fester in negativity and overly righteous and judgmental. And them don't even brush them teeth. Some of them. I'm telling you, believe me. Some of the people that go in the comment section, they don't. That's why when God said he without sin cast the first stone, because Jesus did have it hard back in the day. Some nasty mouth people that come up to him about, my Lord, hey, don't bless them. And Jesus was like, whew, oh, God. You hear him? He's like, my God, Daddy, why you send me down here? Take this away from me. I can't deal with it. Same thing when they put him up on the cross and goes, oh, thief, stink mouth, thief, stink mouth. And he was like, God, forgive a thief, but not a liar. And those who don't brush them teeth, kill them all. Something like that. Yeah, Gospel of Enoch. You know it go. Book of Enoch. It's not in there, but something like that did go so. Anyway, these things are so important. So that when we're thinking about publicity, I'm not here having a conversation with you to say that publicity should not happen, because I think when things of public importance, we want to know what's happening. I'm one of the cheerleaders that's saying, why hasn't the Prime Minister sign him whatever the something waiting for sign? And it not signed yet. Me don't even know what it is, but me just hear it and say, hey, we want to know. And then I hear integrity say, six of them illicit. 6 of them correct. But me say, me want to know. And I only want to know because the 6 is real. Yeah, I mean, the 6 is real, isn't it? Isn't the 6 real? Yeah, something like that. Or 6 piece of chicken, you know what I'm saying. And then outside the Kodak Sandok, why? And you take up the pitchfork and you don't even know. Like you'll be just driving down the road and some woman in her brassiere and she have her slip up and she have on her bonnet and them just kill her son and she say, "We want justice. Him never do it. He's a good youth." And you just want to join her because you just like because that you want justice. You like it. You like how it sound. And so you just join it. But the problem with it is what no, regardless of the public outcry, regardless of what the majority is saying at the time, regardless of the false moralities that takes place in this country, um, and other places in the world. I mean, people says, "Oh, Jamaicans, they are savages. Do you know that they kill each other and they come from the ghetto and they rub out their hand middles and those guys don't have any future, and when they buy slippers they wear size 10 but they buy size 4 so their heel backs can rub on the ground. It's just disgusting and unbecoming. Those savages." And then they go back get bomb and they say they just bomb up each other and 3,000 people dead one time and they say, "Oh, you are a Jew and or you are Israelites or you're a Palestinian," and they don't count it like the one pop that go on in Jamaica, but we're the worst in the world. And so, however, what justice looks like, what moral authority people have to pass judgment. Here it is that you can die faster in certain first world countries from just one mall shooting or a church shooting than would ever happen or take place in Jamaica. But we don't have these discussions because we pass judgment and we deal with hearsay and we stereotype without facts. If you speak proper English, something wrong with you. If you educate yourself, something is wrong with you. Because that is how bad mind works. They put you in boxes and stereotypes. So you're not allowed to be great. Because if you are great, it forces other people to bring their game up. And that's what happens. So publicity is not the problem, but the poison is. So here's what I mean. Imagine you're faced with a crime and them say you use a phone and the phone on eBay for $9.99 and the trial not done yet. Them say them have video footage and the video footage dep on the internet and it not in the court because the exhibit lost. Or them say there's some voice notes and the voice notes on the internet, but they in the court because it lost. They can't account for it. That's the kind of poison. And then what of the situation where a juror is tainted? The Privy Council says the defendants have nothing to do with it, but people still say, "We know, so them have something to do with it. Them are wicked," and everybody goes with it. And they do that because they can't read. They don't know that you can go on the website and click and read for yourself. And at paragraph 35, the white people who are at the top of the court says the men have nothing to do with it. And the lady who before the new lady was saying, "We are gamblers. We gamble. And we take a gamble because we know a criminal is on the jury, but we want this verdict, so I'm going to leave him and assist him to make sure that we get a verdict." But the blame is on the people. That is the poison that publicity can cause to prevent a fair trial. Not publicity, the poison, the unfairness. And so, you get a little rasta boy like me where chat too much now. You just leave the people them that don't chat too much but making money out of YouTube to do the work. And they put the information out there. And they carry on. And they corrupt the system. And they prevent the integrity. People who are preventing the integrity. And they say you chat too much because if you chat, people will listen to you. So and then them can't make no money. So it's important for them to say you chat. That kind of thing. Yeah. You are chat. And if you chat, we can't get the likes and we can't get the clicks. So you are the problem. But no, they're not village lawyers. They're not village lawyers. Village lawyers are people that have sense. You have to live somewhere to be, and you have to live in a village. Yeah? Yeah. Anyway, but so the point to be made where that is concerned is differentiating the poison from the publicity, differentiating the court's ability to regulate a space from when the unregulated is allowed to reign freely. And we're not just this is not just a common conversation, you know. This is a real thing. When your minister of transport in his wisdom saw that the unregulated space was bringing harm to Jamaica, he made attempts to ban, but the law wasn't in place. So this is something that happens once a week, I tell you. Anyway, yeah, and the law was not in place. So why is that important? Well, naturally, or lose the right when the law no it you know Drea your bad mind, you know. Yeah, I saw what happened, but I tried to rectify that real quick. We're literally at the top of the hour also. But yeah, I was saying that the minister made attempts um to ban the in drive people, the app sharing people, and he did that knowing that it was important for him to do that, because if he didn't do that, um persons would be hurt or person would be harmed, and he need to get regulation. The problem is the system is not in place to do so. So when it comes to accepting that Jamaica is a third world society, is a third world country, and so the wheels of justice might not be turning as fast enough. But I can tell you this: we have Justice Sykes, who creates standards, and he says, "Listen, if you trial supposed to take place in 2 years, if it don't take place in 2 years, you're really now in the backlog phase, and your case needs to be looked at with priority." And we have standards where, and he has been meeting those standards, I can tell you that. Notwithstanding that you hear 744 cases in one term alone go unresolved, it is the quality that is also important. And we have what, 276 lawyers, people become lawyer every year. It has to be that when it comes to service, maybe something to look at, where um, legislation deals with how persons treat matters. I don't know, but each one teach one. But we're at the top of the hour. We're gonna do the housekeeping, Reggae Global Radio, and we continue the discussion and I open the line shortly.
It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
Yep. Diamond yet says Starlink hungry. No, you know, technology sometimes can really um get the best of you. Continue to be you, my brother. Big up. Yeah, man. Um, thank you. Blessings, classy designs and decor. Chosen. Big up yourself. Knowledge is indeed power. Viv Chin, blessings. I wanted to leave my Starlink alone, I don't think it's the Starlink as much as is me having to resolve some technological deficiencies that's taking place. Maybe that's what had happened. Remove. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Yeah, see? It's about the technology and trying to learn how to use the technology and stuff like that. So but for the most part, what I really was trying to get at was the system. There are things that can retard the system or make the system worse. In a judicial system that is trying to be better collectively, and this is my idea. So me, I'm a practical person. Whenever I see deficiencies in a system, remember, I'm a nobody in the scheme of things. So coming from me might not mean anything, but it's a practical thing. If let's say for instance, and I've been doing the research. Let's say for instance, the court sends back 50 cases to be retried. 50, and there is a standard called the reasonable time where the constitution say a fair hearing within a reasonable time, and retrials would have meant that somebody's fair hearing right, the reasonable time, might be breached or is likely to be breached if they don't get to trial quickly. Don't you think that the solution to that is to have a retrial court? That's a simple fix, So, who's responsible for that? It's obviously the legislators, The legislators need to take advice from the judiciary, the bar association, and the prosecution office, because those are the three um, people that have to come together so that a trial can take place. And if it's like murder or stuff like that, then is the jury is necessary, and how it is. There are many changes have been made in terms of paying, reducing the jury pool from 12 to 7. We're at 7. Also payment, making sure that people get paid. I think they should be paying them. I think if you sit on a jury, you should get paid $10,000 a day for taking up your time. That's just me. I could be wrong. I just say it like that. But maybe if those things are just ideas in terms of improving the system. But then when we start to talk about a jury system now, that a jury system that is affected by social media, because if you live in a small country, it can't be said that you don't see and hear everything that's going on. I tell you, when you turn on the news, or when everybody is participating in current affairs, and everybody is affected by Bias. Bias is the real enemy. Bias is the poison. Um, Andre said, "What I keep over here, what I keep over here is not a bangarang. It's just we're just talking about publicity. We're talking about um, fictional drama versus reality. We're talking about how people are concerned more about. See, somebody's telling me about Guzu and Obia and worried about everything than what is to be worried about. People don't accept or people don't appreciate the reality that there is brilliance out of Jamaica, from judges to lawyers to maybe not all, but there are some brilliant politicians. Some of them actually went to school and some of them are actually educated. Um, but you won't get a free pass if you don't have the education. It is necessary. And so one of the deficiencies is the lack of education. Government knows this, so they make an effort to keep people uneducated. It's so ironic because Damian Crawford, very bright man, always trying to find ways to educate the people because he too knows that education is the great liberator. And he says if we raise the GCT by 1%, it opens the door to provide funding for education. So the 1% allocation goes to increasing the education fund. So maybe the road to free tertiary education, like back in the day when Michael Manley caused that to happen. So a lot of the people that are the elite now that act like they're better than you, remember them did live in, they were impoverished. It's not they weren't from the ton. They were not. The majority of the people around now, they were not socialites. They were like your prime minister who said, "I was born in a board house and I never show stone even though there was no glass." And then him say, "I was also born in a NHT house. And so I know the importance of NHT and I know the importance of living in a board house, a single room." Yeah. So those things, those are the people who are now the elite, and the need to keep people like them out of you know experiencing humanity is what they do. And it's quite understandable because it can be very intimidating to come across people who don't need to beg you because you can't influence them. It can be very intimidating to come across people who are actually educated, so you can't chat foolishness to them. So them like them say thief never like to see thief with long bag. Educated people don't necessarily like educated people because then them can't talk down to them. So a lot of times they them say somebody say how much time him alone but I don't know, but sometimes cats have 9 lives. So never underestimate the pussycat. So anyway, these are things that we have to be able to make sure that when we have platforms, we don't take advantage of people. The purpose should always be to uplift and educate. The purpose is to always help people to be better than you, better versions of themselves, because especially when you're situated as a Jamaican, they don't like to hear it, but I don't know what's this, but this the uniqueness, what it is to be a Jamaican is just, you just know off the get-go that you're extraordinary, you're loud, and you, it comes with maybe why we never have the British flag in our flag, because we are by nature self-dependent and independent individually. Yeah, we get up and say you know more than we, naturally. And so the problem with that is the powers that be don't like people who they cannot control. They don't like people who are independent, thinking, independent minding, the ability to make the decision without a pot of manish water and white rice and curry goat to influence how you decide. Mind you, I say all of that, but then a bucket of chicken can change my mind quick. So I don't know. Maybe I'm one of those uneducated people that licky licky. I don't know. But the point I'm making is to appreciate and understand that there is a space where um, we have to find the balance. And the balance starts with the conversation about why is the Constitution so important? Why is fairness important? Why is inclusion so important? Because I'm not going to touch this topic, but I will say this. If we are autonomous beings, we must appreciate that to be raped, not physically, mentally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, to be raped in those ways is the ultimate violation. And it might as well have been physical. So if you can't appreciate that, no matter who you are, your ability to say no, your ability to say that's not for me, your ability not to be pressured to do anything that you don't want to do, the importance of freedom of expression and why it is important that the media is allowed to report what happens in any court case. And if you don't want that to happen, then don't go commit no crime or stay far. And save and accept that children are involved and their identities need to be protected. Um, I don't see why you commit a crime and then you get convicted and you think that society must protect you and you must be able to hide your conviction and hide your shame. And that's the thing about it. The people who I see are most judgmental are the people who walk around with a lot of shame. And so it's called deflecting. And I think people don't understand and appreciate that. So you don't get to make judgment calls and you don't get to write nice press release and talk about who is not fit for leadership when your closet dirty and you're disgusting and you walk with the thieves and the criminals and you're probably the leader of the gang that you pretend that you're not the leader of the gang and then say that you have class and you have sophistication, but you yourself is nothing that is good. I don't have to call names, you know. Last week I just call out somebody and I never see them face again. So sometimes you just have to say it as it is, and who the cap fit, they just have to wear it, and that's really what it is. But one thing you cannot do is to rob somebody of the opportunity of fairness because it could be you. And so if if you are in the business of depriving somebody of fairness, of the equity, of equality, then you have offended the Constitution and you forfeit your right to any respect that you could get in any forum or any media, any medium. So we then stop and pause and say, listen, because I remember, I've found my way down to the regulatory body in a complaint that says that how dare me say constitutional rights are being breached and people are authors of delay. I never knew in my life I would come and hear somebody say, yes, we breached the rights and the rights are breached, but don't worry about the breach because the constitution, it's just a little constitutional breach. There are remedies for that. That kind of conversation is it takes your breath away. You know, it's almost like a Smirnoff commercial when I was young, before the KFC commercial come on. But them days there was only one channel, so you had to watch the commercials. It's not like you could go on your phone and look at TikTok in the meanwhile. But those things is where we're at. That's the reality now. Um, we sit and say, but are these things happening? Well, the answer is yes, because the truth is the truth, and it's not an offense. Offensive, yes, and so we deflect and we use a lot of ad hominem, attacking the person, and we don't listen. So especially talking now to the people who hide behind the keyboards and they make dummy accounts and they start to spew the unbecoming words and the nastiness that I can't believe somebody would sit and actually text or type these things and post it and then say that they'll be cursing somebody and say they're not respectful, but being disrespectful while they're at it. They'll breach the Constitution by spewing discrimination. By I don't want nobody to say I'm a PNP, but when I listen to some of the little dirty foot people speak about like the leader of opposition and say, "Hey, red boy, yeah, dual citizenship, you have to come out of this." And I'm like, you can't even pay a little rent and you're telling people to come out. What are you? Who are you? Like, how could you be? Oh, and you're saying that the people, you're disrespecting people, but want respect. And you don't appreciate that what you are doing is outside of the Constitution. It's outside of the spirit of your existence. And we forget. And you know why we forget? Because we're privileged and we don't know we're privileged. Some people are so lazy they're not even little cotton them would have got pick. And they couldn't even survive during slavery because they're lazy. And although it is your right to be nothing, in the world, you can't choose to be nothing and then hate somebody for being something. You can't choose to lack ambition and then hate somebody for having ambition. Choose to not do anything with your life, but then spew hate and vitriol to people who are picking up their lives. Whatever, even if a woman say, "Oh, I was a prostitute and I used to be at back road and I just decided I don't want to do it anymore. And I just go do my nursing program and now I'm a nurse." And for some strange reason, you want to say that's a problem because somebody pick up them life and you participate in nothing else. So they tell you, don't you know that is true? Not for me and for you, the world is a ghetto. So if the world is a ghetto and people are trying to make their way out of the ghetto, if it's even for bathe and brush your teeth, so you can get out of that mentality, that's important. But you can't be the crabs at the bottom of the barrel and using your claws to bring people down. That is not within the spirit of the Constitution. Because what I can tell you is the breaches, when it comes to breach of Constitution, it's not just vertical. It's not just the state actors who sometimes forget that they are also citizens and they're also humans. And when they come out of their work clothes, they're just like us. Not them. We're talking about your fellow citizen breaching your right and depriving you of opportunity, opportunity of fairness, opportunity, equal opportunity, you know? And when I was doing the Virgo case, um, that's that not and we're not talking about Enzinga who they cut her hair in prison and they said she pull out her own hair, not her. The young Virgo who that primary school the principal, our head did ball. So we know mirror, mirror on the wall. My head is bald. And I bad mind people who have hair said the girl couldn't be in the school because our hair have lice and jonjo. To this day, I'm still traumatized about that speech because I wear dreadlocks and I can tell you, it's my second set of dreads on my head. And all if them some sometimes them tease me and say me hair a drop out and my hairline recede. And them say, big forehead boy, your hairline a recede. Like Rihanna no pretty with fair big forehead and rich. But just my forehead big, all missing right now are the richness. But my day I try take the whole of cartel money so me can rich. And the people them just a bad mind me and every time me I try rack up the money, the people them a cuss me about it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, big up all my lawyer, them we done me money. So for that, I'm simply saying we have to be for real. And when we think about um how we try to bring down people, when we think about the energy that it takes to do so, you know for a fact, look, people, say I don't lose my train of thought. It's just I don't know why is everybody laughing in the comment section because it's not funny. I'm being for real. Yeah, big up ASAP Rocky and and the Rihanna Big Foreign crew. Anyway, the fact of the matter is we have to find a way to minimize horizontal breaching. So section 13(5) of the Constitution makes provision for your own a man can just breach your rights and get away with it. And the problems, people would say sometimes people talk ill. Like people just talk out of their mouth. People who say I chat too much, they just turn on the cameras and say, yeah, that guy I sat Buchanan, and they just spew the thing. But then you look at them and you said, but this person is so poor for me, to call John Clark, my lawyer, yeah. For me to call him and say, we need to sue this person. And he's like, but they don't have any money. When you sue them, what's next? Because they can't pay you. They might have a little one car where them run taxi with and then they have children. So a lot of times people don't understand that it's compassion that you have why you don't come at them. Why you don't tear them down because they know not what they do. So you forgive them. I'm too poor to be carrying them in court. So you don't sue men of straw. That is why when you drive, you don't want no taxi running on your vehicle. Or you don't want a bike man lick up in your car with him zeng because the insurance can't fix it. These are simple things that we don't understand and we don't appreciate. But the Constitution has thought about this. Yeah, no, I want people to appreciate that. The Constitution makes provisions for that. Somebody says, got them and make an example of them. No, you leave them to God. I will never interfere when God is punishing people. I would never do it. That's why sometimes you move in spirit. That's that. I'm just saying that humbly. But once we understand that there has to be conversations as to what is in the Constitution and how we regulate that. So the complaint about publicity, is not that people mustn't do what they're doing, and you're free, freedom of expression to do whatever you need to do. Is the lack of regulation, because I told you about F&D and I told you what the judges could do to regulate. I can tell you about a case called DPP and Francis out of Australia, where two radio broadcasters was talking about a man who sexually molests some children, and they were like, "Oh, we should catch him and strip him apart. Shouldn't be. We should unalive him." And judge hold them in contempt of court and put them in prison. Them never know, so them mouth would have catch them and them would have in a prison. And that's the court's power to regulate. But you can't do that when Lady Whistledown or Miss P, Sir P, whatever, just can say whatever they want and fabricate and spew out no respect for the Privy Council, no respect for the judgment, no respect for the rules of the court, just lack of respect and free to be a vigilante and say that you're doing it in the name of justice. No, you have offended justice. And it's fine, because I think the entertainment is needed, but and if it happens to free somebody, kudos to you. But we responsibility is what the conversation is, because although we may find pleasure in the fictional dramas and the Lady Whistledown and the gossip, the something reminiscent of Pinkwall or Dear Dream, Hide My Identity. Me in a one taxi and me never have the fear. And the taxi say, what you can do for yourself. And chew me is a good as girl. Me just say pull over. And then me just do what me do. And me make it home. And then me kiss me man. And this and this. And da da da. Yeah, all those stories that come out of the Hide My Identity Club. And you're free to just say anything, even if it's not true. And everybody say, "Oh, murder, what a bangarang," and people enjoy those. People enjoy it. So usually, certainly when I was growing up, you had Dynasty. There was a reason why they were dying and being nasty at the same time, and it was quite acceptable to be called Alexis Carrington Kobe Dexter. These days, if you're a Jamaican girl and your name Alexis Carrington Kobe Dexter, them just I could say something right now, but I don't get it. But then when I say a whole heap of man you have, I use a pass round donkey. But if you're a socialite, you get to have 10 last names and 10 prenuptial agreements that you probably got benefit from or whatever. And then you had Falcon Crest, and then you had Dallas, then you had Return to Eden. And for the black people, you had Generations. And there were black people was there in Young and the Restless too. And everybody was excited about these things. But the thing about it is that's fictional. And I can tell you, if we had a reality show with our socialites and what goes on, that moral thing would change real quick when we find out how some persons who are a part of the elite, how they become the elite, and who anyway, in the name of marriage, you become the second wife of so and so. And yes, the dynasty, the DUI and the nasty. But those are just fictional. But when it is that art becomes life, the rules are different because it affects people's lives. And so when we misreport, and when it doesn't just affect the person you hate, have family, and they have friends, and they have loved ones, and they have people who are affected by the vitriol that you spit. So, and I find it hilarious sometimes, because when people speak about me, it bothers me. I could speak back about you, and you would feel bad before you make me feel bad. But there are people around who are offended and they feel bad, even when you don't feel bad. So how we emotionally harm people, and how the harm also can go in the realm of the halls of justice. And that is the effect of the poison. So it's not publicity that anybody cares about. It's the effect. Whether or not the poison from the publicity, especially if it's information that could not have been contained in one setting, has leaked out to the masses in such a way that it makes it impossible by virtue of what is out there for fairness to reign supreme, for the spirit of the Constitution to remain. That's all it is. So I will submit as a takeaway and forget about the bantering. Let me be the first to tell you. Um, there are, there will be people who, by virtue of what they have made for themselves, create a niche for themselves. And yeah, I'm gonna say it, and people are gonna be upset. When a Sir P creates a niche for himself, you can't deny him that. He's bigger than enough artists, enough people that try to be famous. But you can't deny somebody who has created a niche for himself. And he has his followers that are his disciples. And those disciples take what he says. Well, I'm really saying is a she. I humbly submit that Sir P has a vagina, and that's why they use the voice thing to filter the voice. Lady Whistledown, and Lady Whistledown became the art that became life. And Lady Whistledown said, "But if I continue to be Lady Whistledown, they're gonna know it's me. So I'm just gonna call myself Sir P." Because it still remains in the elite society, the British nobles, the lady and the sirs, the lords and the madams, Yeah. But notwithstanding, you know, it is what it is. So when it comes to popular culture and entertainment and art, nobody can deny that the crime vlogger boss, Miss P herself, is needed for the culture. If it affects the orderly running of reality, it becomes a problem. But it is what it is. So don't get it twisted. Publicity is not the issue. Poison is the issue. Um, that is simple. But and then they're gonna say I'm wrong. But guess what? I watched the Bridgerton, and it was the little white fat girl. She get married, get some good sex, and she say, "I'm not Lady Whistledown. I'm making everybody know I'm Penelope Bridgerton." So as usually when people lacking sex and when people um miserable and don't have a life, they go out and do that which they're not supposed to do. But anyway, either way, this is entertainment. Is you have to put it in context and find out where it matters. I think I'm gonna open the phone lines and people feel free to call. But don't nobody talk bad about Sir P. Not on my watch. Nobody. Um, yeah, let me find that now. Yeah, so the lines are now open. Um, and that pretty much is where I'm really here just passing through, trying to wonder what this guy is talking about. Don't wonder, don't pass, just leave. Yeah, that's what I gotta say. Yeah, don't pass on, leave on, or you get tied up like the animal you are. Anyway, yeah. So that's that. Um, feel free to call in and we can have the conversation. But it's all in the name of fun. Context matters. I have set out for you just the concepts of trial publicity, just the how media can be skewed and how it can affect justice in both ways, positive or negative. And like I said, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. He got off, but I can tell you, he did get in trouble. OJ did get in trouble a second time in relation to his memorabilia, and I will humbly submit that I think he just went to prison because people thought that he got away the first time. I could be wrong, but that's just my thing. The same thing is when things are sensitive in a space where there's a racial divide and stuff like that. There are people, persons who their celebrity status might have caused them to not go to prison, or likewise their celebrity status caused them to go to prison. Like I won't be the one to come and say, hey, everybody free R. Kelly, because boy, that would be like committing career suicide. But yeah, put it this way, to each his own. And we saw what happened with Bill Cosby. I think his birthday was yesterday, or it could be today. I'm not sure, but let's not mix up the Cosby Show, Dr. Cosby, with maybe the character, the original character. I don't know. I am no authority to speak about that. Somebody, when I say free R. Kelly, somebody say hell no. I'm not even gonna. What if I say free Diddy? What would you say then? Anyway, let me leave that. Anyway, like I said, context matters. Don't see somebody say you're mad. Hey, no Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy. All right. But anyway, that's the problem. That's the point I'm making about publicity, celebrities, and when people get their day in court. There's a famous case going on right now. I think it's young. I don't even know the guy name. Young something something something. So a foreign thing. But anyway, that being said, young thug. All right, so somebody calling. Hello, good day. Hello. Them hang up. Anyway, so young Melly. No man, that's YG Melly. Not him. The other one. It's probably Young Thug. It's Young Thug. And the guy keep firing him lawyer and a whole heap of things. The Young Thug lawyer is a really good lawyer. But YSL case, yeah. But you see, there are somebody say play step in you. No, but until I get to interview her, I tell myself say I'm not gonna play her video until I get a chance. I want to interview that lady because sometimes you have to really step in it. I drop my glasses and I think it is twisted. Anyway, yeah, that would be a different class of things. So the question to ask, and I'm looking in the cover, the comments: does art imitate life? Does life imitate art? Which is it? Where do you fall? That's the question to ask. Which is it? Does art imitate life or does life imitate art? What say you? To each his own, the song by Faith, Hope, and Charity. Listen to that song. Yes, hello, caller. Yeah, boss. Good afternoon. Yeah. In Washington. How you doing? You have to turn off your mic. You have to turn off your device or whatever you're listening to. Yeah, I'm hearing you. I just also hearing myself repeating. But go ahead. As well. Oh yeah, I think it's moving. All right. I was asking you, what's the position with vibes? What's going on? What's the position with vibes? Yep. I don't understand the question. That's public knowledge. Yeah, but the thing is, there were persons saying, you were, going to court and trying to get bail or trying to get him freed.
separate from what happened like 2 weeks or so ago. So I don't know what, yeah, so that's I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh, okay. So the court is to make its ruling sometime between now and the 31st of July. All right?
Okay.
All right.
That's just that.
That's that. Yeah.
Oh my God. So last question for you. What do you believe? What do you think based on your knowledge?
What do I think based on my knowledge?
Yes, like what kind of outcomes are
What's your take on on trial publicity?
Well, from what the whole that guy over here, I don't even like him, but from what he's saying, I believe the evidence before has been tampered with, so I don't see the reason why they would use back the same old evidence, and if they can find out the witnesses, if they use back these same people, so based on that, I'm thinking they should throw it out. That's just my view.
All right. Well, based on your analysis of the matter, I'm inclined to agree with you. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll talk. Thanks for calling.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. So basically, somebody say, I love how you flip the conversation. If it's worth it, it's worth it. I put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it. It's yours. Let me step in on your neck. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so how the things going on with World Boss? So one of the things that I'm always interested about is that people seek out these social media spaces to ask me about World Boss. I kind of appreciate that, especially since I'm the one that's taking all his money. So I guess as fans, you have a right to ask me what am I doing with the money and why am I here on YouTube and TikTok. Well, you see these Versace glasses? Yeah, cartel money. See this Adidas? Yep, cartel money. See that TV right there? Yep. I did good for myself, huh? Anyway, so moving on. The important thing to note about the conversation in relation to the pre-trial publicity is that always make me laugh is that it is the government that needs to put things in place, and I'm not talking about the pre-trial, the publicity itself, because there are safeguards, but that safeguards had to have come from the inception. So if it is that publicity is high and it needs to be curtailed, judges to make certain orders from the beginning to ensure that the person can get a fair trial. Once the poison is out in the space, then it then is a situation where there has to be some form of regulation or some form of the decision is that to protect the integrity of a justice system, you simply have to ensure that the person is not put through an unfair trial or an unfair ordeal. The case in point is Reed and R. Reed and the King. It's really Reed and the Queen, or maybe it's Reed and the King, but the R is the R is the R and the R is R. So when people look like that, people are then in a situation to process what are the principles in terms of the factors that has to do with the things that a court is to consider to ensure that somebody gets a fair trial. Hold on. Hello?
Mr. Isaac,
Yes.
how you doing, sir? We still live or?
Yes, I'm still live. Are you trying to have a conversation while on air? Yeah, go ahead. We're listening.
I have this theory in mind about the term
Double jeopardy. Could you explain that to me? Double jeopardy. All right. So double jeopardy is that a man cannot be tried twice for the same offense. And so double jeopardy is attached after a conviction or after a an acquittal. The Constitution under Section 69 says that no person is to be tried if he can prove that he already went through that ordeal or that situation. So that is the concept of double jeopardy. So, for instance, in the matter that you are concerned with, or you everybody is concerned with, there is one Shane Williams who was acquitted, albeit that the verdict from the jury was a tainted verdict. He has benefited from the not guilty verdict, and under Section 16(9), they could not come back and try to retry him, no matter what they think of. Yeah. What if it was the case where he was found guilty? The same thing. If it's a case where somebody was found guilty, they couldn't go back and retry him for it again. So, in the case of the one great vibes cartel, wouldn't you say it's like similar if it's even the same type of situation we're in? Well, that's the issue. That's the issue with this particular case, is that they're saying that until the verdict of acquittal or the judgment of acquittal is put in, then the issue of retrial remains live. Until the verdict of acquittal. Mm-hmm. Isn't double jeopardy until the judgment of acquittal? But there was a judgment of guilt. No, but then remember, Section 16(9) of the Constitution says, unless by order of the court. You want me to read it? Yeah. Yeah. No, I can read it for you because you're asking a good question. It says, no person who shows that he has been tried by any competent court for a criminal offense and either convicted or acquitted shall again be tried for that offense or for any other criminal offense, listener, of which he could have been convicted at the trial for that offense, save upon the order of a superior court made in the course of appeal proceedings relating to the conviction or acquittal, and no person shall be tried for a criminal offense if he shows that he has been pardoned for that offense. So we're at that stage now, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, because it's very interesting to hear of a retrial. Mm-hmm. Very to hear of a retrial being brought forward because their trials already took place. Well, I just read Section 16(9) of the Jamaican Constitution. Right. Well, that's my question still, but I sat on there thinking because you're for the youth, regardless of what anybody wants to say. I know that for a fact because, for one, here's a man you come when you speak your truth, regardless of the fact that some people might not find what you're saying to be aligned with what they're thinking. You come when you speak your truth. You understand, and you're saying it, you're doing it in a form or you feel comfortable doing. They're not putting on a show for anybody. So whoever wanted to be a puppet, tell them go to him, and that's it. All right, blessings. Thanks for your call, my brother. Yeah, man. All right. Yeah, so that's what it is. So once again, context matters. I'm seeing the comments. I don't think I need to respond anymore in terms of those things. But the topic, as I said, about trial publicity, the effect of it, keep in mind poison. Another word that I'm gonna leave with you is confluence. Confluence is a very important word. Hello? Good night. Yeah, you're calling to comment, read the show. All right, go ahead. It's funny because Article 6 of the Human Rights Convention speaks to a fair trial being fundamentally speaks to the judge themselves being impartial and independent. Mm-hmm.
and I noticed during the trial, a lot of the assertion in regards to the influence of a particular blog, I would say that is just one variable. Because in especially in a country like Jamaica, where news, because when they talk about media influence, and of course social media is one of those entities. It's going to be very, very difficult to put in safeguards um, in regards to that sort of information security, so to speak, because the media is the trial is in with the public sphere. And I don't know. I've not heard you speak to. If you can speak to what sort of mechanism you think in an era of social media. And I'm in law enforcement anyway. Just let you know. So information security. So I'm just I want to hear what you think in regards to that sort of safeguard. Because I was looking through some cases and some judgment itself, and I was looking and I was noticing that it speak to Article 6 speak mainly to the judge. So it's like it's so unfortunate that you as a defense are in a bad place in terms that you could be speaking to the choir, because it could be the judge themselves that is being influenced by media, even though they threw it out and said, well, no, it's not. That's not even possible. It can't be. The court can't be influenced by media, and that is just rubbish, really, because of course media are going to influence opinions and ideas and ideals and concepts.
That is so. You're right on point. There's no rule that says that people can't be influenced by the media. That's which is why I'm saying that the conversation is not about has anything to do with pre-trial publicity. Nobody cares about that. There are safeguards in England. Like I said, the case of F&D, all they did was to make the necessary orders to put gag order. There's a case out of the Bahamas where the case is probably Vassi, that the Privy Council removed the judgment from their website, so you can't even go and read what took place in the Privy Council. They also made the necessary gag order so that the media houses can report and the media houses can't carry the information and they scour the internet. One of the things that they can do is make court orders that persons who are vloggers and persons who are this is the regulated now. So in Jamaica, you have TVJ and you have CVM. They would tell them that they have to turn off their comment section when they report on the matters, and that when they report on the matters, they can't say the names. And they would also, if it is if they're seriously concerned about it, they can make gag orders that the media cannot report on the matter. So there are things.
Media,
Mhm.
especially since media innately political.
Well, that is true, all of that. But I'm saying, generally speaking, there are things that can be done to ensure that the jury is not affected by whatever is happening in the public space. And then there are generally where by jury instructions and stuff like that, it is expected that jurors can disassociate their minds from particular thoughts, ideas, and events. But it's a little bit more technical than that when you're dealing with a fair trial right issue that has fair trial right that has already been breached. Which is why I say when there are considerations, the word somebody asked me if it's in the dictionary is confluence.
Right.
It is not just limited to the publicities. A group of factors or a group of issues that when joined together makes whatever decision that you're going to make, the potency of a breach or the effect of it cumulatively becomes problematic.
Yeah.
So it's just one factor in the grand scheme of things that is there for consideration.
Okay.
That's all. You're right. So again, I'm saying put it in context. what I've come to understand is that we have become like YouTube have something called YouTube Shorts. So they appreciate and understand that you have people with very short attention spans. And so people now take what can be like for this 2 hour conversation and they take up snippets. Yeah, and they run with the snippets and then that goes viral and then people take it and they go crazy. So when with snippets with
critical thinking.
it eliminates critical thinking because people you can't differentiate between sarcasm, you can't differentiate between rhyme and reason, you can't take the context of something in a short clip. If you recall last year's or almost last year this time, I quoted Vibes Cartel, taken out of a quote, and people put context to it and made serious interpretation. And when they use that interpretation, and I say, no matter what context it is, maybe you shouldn't have quoted that the song. And then people use that as an opportunity to make a serious issue out of the context of a quote. But anyway, I'm not here to defend that, but to say that there are many things that I would have said today, and then we will speak next week and watch how it is cut up and clip up and how people have emotional reactions to even sarcasm. And I find it to be very interesting. Yeah.
The problem with that is that just as though you are in support of that sort of that you have systems and people that this benefit as well from all manner of class and structures. So you have systems within systems that would benefit from this sort of instant gratification where people they would prefer people to see things from a surface level because then it won't allow them to think much about anything. And so you can sell things. You can sell them things and know that, well, you're going to have people who are going to grab that and are going to think about it. And so it benefit to us. So that's the thing. You have the other side that benefit from it, whether those be whether there's a hierarchical structure, whether that be middle upper class, but from all sides, you're going to have an opposing side that going to come against Isaac sort of belief.
Well, I can say this because we're at the top of the hour and the show is going to end. But Isaac is the least of anybody's problem. I assure you, the month gonna done and them have them bills to go and pay, so they need to go worry about that. Life is good. Yeah, man. I want to thank you for calling because it's like 11 o'clock now, almost 12 o'clock where you are. So big up yourself.
Yeah, man. You keep that's all right. You keep educating the public and all the best, and those of us who appreciate what you're doing, especially where the human rights is concerned. So you just keep it's a very rocky road you treaded, very, very narrow road you treaded because you're going to find a lot of opposition.
All right, blessing. You know all right.
Yeah, man, bless up.
Yeah, man. All right, so we are at the top of the hour. So big up yourself. Keisha, before you block the people who you're supposed to block, you're messaging me, telling me what I must be careful about. And you have this smelly girl over my TikTok talking nonsense. Anyway, this is the show. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Again, does life imitate art? Trial publicity. It can either be a legal crisis or a fictional drama. It's a matter for you. But wherever you fall, the most important thing is never to forget that context matters. See you guys next week. So all those of you who are tuned in to Reggae Global Radio, thank you always for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. This show was especially for you. Loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it. Blessings all. I still live, so I'm gonna behave myself. But watch when the YouTube done. I want our stay on the TikTok, Watch. I gonna know why ISAT is ISAT today. She gonna go down today. Hear me? Let me just finish this show right now. I'm putting all my attention on my TikTok. Stay here. Don't leave. Don't leave. Just stay. Don't stay. You just stay. Yeah, you smelly girl. Stay. I'm gonna deal with you. Hold on. Bless God.
It took some time to understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just what it takes to be a man. Yeah. Now it seems each day you learn something to make a better way. Growing up ain't just a phase, it's reality. And sometimes it's hard to face the world with your head screwed on. But in time you will see it comes naturally, like the hurt and the pain. It's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way. But if you need a helping hand, just call on me, I will be your friend. And when it gets hard to face the world with your head screwed on, just tell yourself you can. And that's when you'll understand that the hurt and the pain, it's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. You gotta keep on moving on. Don't let no one stand in your way. Gotta keep on pressing on. As we pray for better days, keep it moving to the next. When they try to bring you down, we gotta take it to the next level when they come around. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. Just keep your head up, yeah. Just keep your head up, yeah. Gotta keep your head up, yeah. Cause everything's gonna be alright. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Cause everything's gonna be alright. Cause everything's gonna be alright.